Hey Aquarius, what's up? The energy that I'm getting in the pre-shuffle looks like planning a trip, or you can be planning kind of into the future right now. Like you can be thinking ahead about some more long-term stuff. That can be something that's on your mind. This can also be about like what you need to do in order to accomplish certain goals. It can be maybe like visualizing more long-term goals that you have. But I'm seeing stuff about the future kind of coming into the now in a way that can eventually like influence moves that you're making now because of like somewhere where you're trying to go, something that you're trying to do. I'm looking at Four of Wands and I'm also seeing Four of Swords. So you can be in a little bit of a rest period. When we have this, it can be some stillness that's been happening. Or something that's been paused for now. This can even be like, let's table this and come back to it. Okay, some of you guys, I'm seeing there be some stuff coming up about, it can be an ongoing commitment that you have, which can be a work situation, it can be a relationship situation, it can be a possession situation, meaning like property, something like that. What I'm seeing is that you can be going through a phase where you're trying to figure out what you want and you may not be totally clear on that, and that can be part of the reason why the energy is in a lull right now, because you can be thinking about this like, let's say for example, I feel like Four of Wands, it's so easy to just like use the example of a relationship. You can think that you want a relationship. You can even be looking at a current relationship that you have. You can be wondering what is going to feel right to you. So maybe it's about like the type of relationship that you want. Maybe it's about the type of work situation you want. Maybe it's the type of financial situation you want, family situation you want, things having to do with this, like your life within 3D and what you're going to feel good with at the end of the day. Having this energy be coming out here, there can be maybe different things that are popping up and you're like, do I want this or do I want that? Maybe you have some things going on and you're like, I don't know if this is really what I want. That can be something too. And now can be a time when you're trying to get clear on stuff. I'm seeing the devil in the environment, but I'm seeing this be like more of a mental space. The way that this can be impacting you is that there can be stuff, there can be these ideas that you have about what you think you want, and then the reality of that is not really what you want. So this can be something that you're looking into and seeing where you maybe have some like false beliefs surrounding what's valuable to you, what's important to you, what you're going to feel good with, that may actually not be the truth for you, and that it may be like the shell or the exterior of something you think you want, and then when you have the reality of that situation, something feels like it's missing because you kind of like missed the actual essence of what you wanted, and you saw some like external symbol of what you thought that was going to be, but then things like aren't really translating properly. So it feels like it has to do with that specifically. And this can be like, maybe I think I want a relationship with this person, then you end up having a relationship with that person and you're still not happy because it's not like scratching that itch for you. Like there's gonna be something here where like there's an actual like I'm seeking something and I'm seeking to connect with it. But when we have the devil, this can be stuff that comes up that we think is going to answer that calling deeply within our souls, that once you grab hold of it, you're like, this isn't it either, and I thought that this was going to be it. So now can be a time of dispelling illusions, like rumors within your thinking, stuff that has been passed down, ideas that you've had that maybe don't fully translate to what it is that you want. And so it can be just a time of thought about a lot of these things. what you want for yourself, what you want for your life, what you're going to feel happy with. This can also mean too that for some of you it's the time of endings. It can be the time of purging these old ideas of what you wanted, or maybe like old wish fulfillments that you had, that you can be like, I don't actually think that I want that, or I don't want that anymore, or I want something else now. Because I'm seeing Nine of Cups go in with death, and death is about elimination. That's what Scorpio is connected with, among other things. Getting rid of things that we don't need anymore, only because that's not what our soul really wants. So it can be a time of like reconfiguring these things. I don't think that this stuff is gonna pop up all at once. Seeing Scorpio and Sagittarius as I'm putting the cards back, this is something where it can be a process where it's going to take some time to unfold, but as you take each step, you gain more and more clarity. But yeah, it can be something that you've just been thinking about lately, and you may not know how that's going to take shape or what exactly you're going to do with it, but it can be something that's been kind of on your mind. This can also be stuff too that you've signed up for because you felt like you needed it to be happy, or like you weren't going to be fulfilled, and then it can end up being kind of like a ball and chain. So there can be some of those things too that you're looking at. Maybe you also want peace more than anything. Like, this can be like, I want a peaceful home life, or I want this area of my life to just feel like it works and it functions well without there needing to be all this drama, or like anxiety, or like this question mark of figuring all of this stuff out when it becomes tiring. So maybe that's also something too, like maybe you want things to feel more relaxed. Like it's not just some like hunt that you're constantly on. I want to see what the hardest part about this is. Like, what is the most challenging aspect of this? To do the deeper reflection on it. That's what the hardest part about this is. It's actually like finding the answers that you're looking for. Not because, let me clarify, it's not because finding the answers is actually difficult. It's because if you escape rather than doing honest self-examination and reflect, this can be something that just escapes you. And so it can be something that's never like fully being addressed, and nothing is ever really happening with it. So yeah, the challenge is for you to actually to do the self-reflection and to do the digging and to really reflect and look into this and find answers. But some of you feel scared of what you're going to find, and it can be because you actually may already know the answers, and it can be stuff that maybe you're still mentally preparing to recognize that. Because some of you guys have this feeling like you know that you're at a crossroads, and just being here in the first place can be something that stresses you out because you know change is going to be involved in it. And there can be a part of you that's like, maybe feels comfortable within the complacency of where you are. But it can also be something where you feel like these thoughts aren't really leaving you alone. So you're in that place of tension where you can be kind of running away from doing deeper reflection. At the same time, you have certain things pop up, then you start looking into it, then it starts maybe, you get clarity and answers that are going in a direction where you're like, no, hold on, I want to pull back the reins on that. I don't want to go that way, even though it's the truth. And so it can then be something that you kind of dismiss and maybe run away from. It seems like this is maybe going to end up requiring some change of you that you may not want it, but then you're not really going to be able to have what you want. It's not going to allow you to create the lifestyle that you want. I've seen this card come out in so many of the readings. We have Eight of Cups here. Some of you don't want to be in the relationship that you're in anymore. You don't feel happy within it. Can be relationship, living situation, work situation. It's going to be something that feels like a core part of your life that you can really not feel fulfilled or satiated within, not consistently. The thing about this sort of energy is that usually when we're in a relationship or in some type of situation, the hard ones to walk away from and to like admit that they're not going to be what you need them to be, it's not the ones where you have stuff going on all the time and it's like bad all the time. Those relationships, it can be very easy to be like black and white, like hard line here, this isn't working and I'm leaving. The ones that are difficult are the ones that are like pretty consistently, like you feel unhappy with it, but then you have those moments when you're like, this is really good, or like, we had a great day today, and then it like goes back to what the norm is, and the norm is I'm not really feeling this, or I'm not really happy here, or I feel like my needs are not being met, or I'm being like starved emotionally, and I'm like dreaming about another life or what would be really be possible. I'm like watching this show on TV and I'm like fantasizing about that being my life instead, in some like maladaptive type of way, because we want to escape from the situation. And the reason why too it can be difficult to come to terms with this is because then that whole idea of like this was going to last forever, it was going to be this, it was going to be that, we have to come to terms with the fact that that's not actually the case in this scenario. So right now you can have stillness, which feels like a stillness that is maybe a preparation for moves that you are going to be making. And now I feel like this is connecting back with what I was seeing in the pre-shuffle. You're at a crossroads right now. You're thinking about your more long-term plans. I don't know if you really want this to be part of your long-term plan. So that can be something that you're thinking about. And some of you, I'm seeing a marriage that you want to be exiting. But the thing is that this is a karmic test to see if you're like really going to leave that, because basically it's like, if you make choices out of fear, then you're going to get the results of that, and that is the karma of that. Karma is just cause and effect. When your intention is to make a choice out of fear, then you're going to get those results. That's what you're cultivating. When you decide that you're going to be brave and move through something that you know your soul is pushing you towards, even if you have difficulties maybe with self-esteem or trauma, psychological hang-ups, and you're like, you know what, I got to do this for myself. I'm doing this from a place of love and from a place of like giving myself permission and showing up for myself as like the best caretaker possible, making choices for me as if I like deeply, deeply love myself and care about myself, care about my well-being and my needs being met. Then you make those choices, and then the life that unfolds is stuff that's going to be a match with that. So then that will be the experience that you have. I think part of the challenge of this can be seeing maybe the responsibility that you have within this, understanding that you are the one that's creating what's going on. So you are basically manifesting whether you stay within this, you stay within a loveless marriage or a difficult situation, you are the one that's making that happen. You leave, you are the one that's making that happen. Because I'm seeing Magician and I'm seeing Nine of Wands here. And so what the most challenging part is can be to understand that you are ultimately the creator of what you're experiencing. And really the unfolding of the deeper intentions that you have. So yeah, whether this be an intention of avoidance, avoiding pain, avoiding reality, avoiding change, avoiding eliminating things that it's time to eliminate. That can be something that you create, or if you're deciding that you want different for yourself, you want better for yourself, you want to make a change for yourself, then that is what you're going to create. And that means like maybe I have to make a choice here where I really have to be brave, or I really have to trust myself. I have to believe in myself. I have to make a choice with courage so that I can experience the sense of deeper connection that I'm looking for. And that's ultimately what this is coming down to. But yeah, for now you may be like, let's not make any further plans and let me not get sunk more into this. Let's just put a pause on things for now. And it feels like that pause is going to help you see that it's time for you to exit this. This is not a situation where you want to have to do this. This is a situation where you know in your heart that you have to do this. So this is not like, yeah, I want to abandon this and I can't stay committed to things. It's not that. I'm seeing it be more so like, this is not the truth for me anymore. This is not resonating with me anymore. And there will be regrets if I stay within this. And I think that that could be telling you a lot. And so, yeah, this is like a change that is being born from necessity, and you really just responding to how you actually feel about the situation that you're in, rather than pushing it down and ignoring how you feel and then having further disappointment, frustration, sadness, and knowing overall that you're just avoiding something that you should be doing for yourself. But yeah, so I wonder for some of you if you were like maybe thinking about expanding or doing something else like within this situation, where it can be like maybe training to move up in the company, maybe like having a plan to like have another child with the person that you're with, maybe like take things a step further. There could have been something going on where there was maybe potential for you to like get more locked into this situation. This is feeling like, let's hold off, buy more property. Let's hold off on this. Let's not do that. Because I feel something else is happening. And what I'm seeing is that this new chapter that's beginning is about walking away from this situation. That's what all of this is about. The way that I'm seeing this situation be described is that it's something where like sometimes it can be really fun, sometimes you have adventures, sometimes it's exciting, but it can be very erratic and inconsistent. And that can be something that does not feel peaceful to you anymore. So I'm seeing like a situation or a person that you can have a really great time with them sometimes, but it seems very fleeting a lot of the time. So it's not something, you may not feel a deeper sense of emotional peace with this. You may not feel calm. You may not feel secure on a deeper level. I mean, there can be a feeling of security that comes from being in a situation where you know they're like never gonna leave you, or they're never gonna fire you or whatever. There can be like that element of like a superficial feeling of security. But when you get deeper down into it, as far as like your soul and like your being feeling secure because you're being nurtured properly, you will not feel that in this situation. So that will not be something that's present. That doesn't mean you don't sometimes feel like that. You will, but it will be kind of like, it's kind of like this is the type of thing that can breed a sense of like neuroticism, even, because you're like, you don't know when you're gonna get it, you don't know when you're not gonna get it, but it feels like the only guarantee is that it's gonna be inconsistent. Like if you had to make a bet that things were gonna be relatively stable for the next 4 months, stable, consistent, you felt safe, there weren't high ups and downs, like would you make that bet? So it can just be something that you're looking at. And for some of you too, maybe it's easier for you to work with information, because you know how like when things are bad, it's like it can feel really bad, but then things are good and then you forget about those other times. maybe you're going to start keeping a log of things just to see the deeper patterns here, because I think pattern recognition is part of this too. That can also be the challenge, having Mercury be the only major arcana, and we also have Pisces on the bottom of the deck, which can be forgetting things. So it can be this like elusive, not really recognizing the deeper patterns, especially having Mercury and Pisces connected with one another. Mercury is debilitated in Pisces, and so it can be like not holding on to like the information that's needed here. So yeah, it can be something that you do where maybe you're going to keep track of just how much things go up and down, or just how little you actually have those times of feeling good within things. And maybe you're just going to get to the point of looking at that and being like, is that what I want? Like, is this what you want for the rest of this situation? Like for the rest of your life, potentially? Is that what you're signing on for? And it's not really it's just like really about your preference at the end of the day, and knowing that this isn't your only option and that you do have a choice here, but you have to be working with a full spectrum understanding of what's really at play. Like you have to be seeing the whole thing, because if you're just zooming in on certain parts and then you're not considering like wholly what's going on within this, you're not really working with all of the information. So I think even just doing something where you're keeping track of like how often you're feeling up and down, or like how often you're genuinely feeling like today was a good day, and within this dynamic, today was a good day and I felt like I got what I needed and I feel at peace with this, and that this works, and that there's a feeling of like harmony within this, you know, there's a feeling of compatibility within this. Like how often is that actually being experienced? Because imagine you're keeping track of it and you like look back over the past month and you're like, there were only 2 days that actually like felt right to me. You know, it can give you some perspective in looking at that and being like, wow, like now that I'm kind of seeing the bigger patterns that are happening, it can just help you see things in a different way. And that may be really helpful to you at this point. So yeah, maybe in some time where you could be getting some downtime or some quiet or just something stills, I see your heart kind of like go out and connect with something that may actually call you outside of this cycle. Even if it's just like a feeling or like a memory or an idea of what could really be possible for you. But it seems to like, if you're in a situation with someone where there's some like really high highs, or like sometimes things are like so good, or kind of like keeps you on your toes, or there's not enough time to really think about things because it's like up and down and back and forth and all of that. When you get quiet and you actually think, I'm seeing things become very clear to you. But maybe your situation is one that's erratic to the point where you don't sit and think about things too much. And for some of you, there could even be something going on where there could be a pause, whether you pause or there's like a natural pause, or something happens that like forces you to pause and kind of think about things. It may stop you from repetitively doing something more unconsciously. Because we can even say that if the challenge has to do with the Knight of Wands, it can be a challenge that's associated with bravery and you making the courageous choice here. It can also be a challenge for you to stop with the impulsivity of just running back into what's familiar, even though it's not really fulfilling that deeper like basin or receptacle within you. It can be something that you look at and you're like realizing that this is more surface level in a way. Like this can be connecting with something that's more like your root energy, and that it's not connecting with your other chakras. And yeah, maybe that's also something that you'll look into too. Like maybe you'll look into what it looks like when your root energy is being satisfied, which that can be something at times, maybe a lot, that you experience within this relationship, but that it's not connecting on the higher chakras for you. And that can be why you've been feeling the way that you've been feeling. But why sometimes it feels like you're getting what you need. But then other times it can feel like it's not going into that deeper place for you. But this is too one of those times where it's like, if you could have somebody that really takes charge come and like take spot in your life and like do all of these things, it would be like, yes, please do these things for me. The thing is that you're gonna have to channel this energy. So if you have difficulty connecting with your fire energy, you have difficulty connecting with your Mars, your Sun, your first house energy, this is something that can be challenging for you. It's not impossible. This is something that you're very much capable of channeling, this type of energy. You can tap into it, but it's going to be a challenge to tap into it because you're going to have to really self-motivate. And that's what's going to be required of you. And it will, of course, obviously be well worth it. I just think we see a lot of people be in situations like this. We see people around us. We see people every day settling. And so I think that it really does require something else of us to tap into this energy. It's kind of extraordinary. All right, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting and tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.